and good evening. Today we will be discussing our topic, the safety of industries, with the help of a case study that is the Union Carbide Corporation. The Union Carbide Corporation, located in Bhopal, was faced with a major disaster in 1984. The incident, which I am about to describe, and the specifics are as follows. Around 1 a.m. on Monday, the 3rd of December, 1984, in the city of Bhopal, central India, a poisonous vapor burst from the tall stacks of the Union Carbide pesticide plants. The vapor was highly toxic and is also known as methyl isocyanate. 2,000 people died immediately and 300,000 were injured. Not just that, but 7,000 animals were injured, of which about 1,000 were killed. A big mishap on the part of Union Carbide, leading to so many deaths across humans and animals. Here are some pictures illustrating the grave repercussions of such an accident. On the left, you can see lots of people meeting untimely ends, and on the right is a very disturbing image, but one we must face to realize the gravity of this mistake. Here you can see the affected area, and that the gas blanketed much of Bhopal. It started from the Union Carbide plant, went to JP Nagar, and engulfed the railway stations and a hospital, that is Sultania Hospital, which you can see right on the bottom corner. This is a very disturbing discovery, in fact, because people in hospitals cannot help themselves get out of the range of the gas, and almost everyone at the hospital was killed by the leak, which is a very tragic circumstance. So what exactly is methyl isocyanate and how does it exactly affect human health? That's what this slide will be telling you about. The first problems that come up are, of course, respiratory disorders that include irritation to the lungs, that result in coughing, shortness of breath. Higher exposure causes buildup of fluids, that is pulmonary edema, and also causes asthma. There's obviously a cancer hazard associated with methyl isocyanate, which causes mutation, that is genetic changes, that affected not just the people who were involved in the accident, but generations to come. Of course, that follows from a reproductive hazard between exposure to methyl isocyanate and miscarriages being linked closely together. It damages the growing fetus and also affected fertility in men and women. Along with this, there were multiple cases. The traces of many toxins were found in the breast milk of mothers and were in turn transferred to recipient babies. Pictures of animal slaughter yet again remind us of the atrocity that this event was. So, let us talk about the possible causes. Let's talk about the possible causes that could have resulted in a leak. So, the most obvious conclusion that was drawn is that a tank containing methyl isocyanate leaked. MIC is an extremely reactive chemical which is used in the production of the insecticide Carbide. The scientific reason for the accident was that water entered the tank where about 40 cubic meters of MIC was stored. When water and MIC mixed, an exothermic chemical reaction started, which produced a lot of heat. As a natural outcome, the safety valve of the tank burst because of the increase in pressure, and it is presumed that due to this explosion, between 20 to 30 tons of MIC was released during the hour that the leak took place. That is 20 to 30 tons of MIC in just an hour. The gas leaked from a 30-meter high chimney, and this height was not enough to reduce the effects of a discharge, but it was just high enough to instead further the discharge. Of course, the weather egged on the process. The high moisture content, that is the aerosol in the discharge when evaporating, gave rise to a heavy gas which rapidly sank to the ground, again from a 30-meter high chimney. A weak wind, which frequently changed direction, in turn helped the gas to cover more area in a shorter period of time. Like I showed you in the image before, the area that the gas blanketed was just covered in just an hour. The weak wind and weak vertical turbulence caused the slow dilution of gas and thus allowed the poisonous gas to spread over considerable distances, furthering the effect of the gas. So, let's look at the possible reasons for why this occurred, why the leak took place in the first place. So one of the main reasons for the tragedy was found to be a result of a combination of human factors and, of course, an incorrectly designed safety system. A portion of the safety equipment at the plant had been non-operational for 4 months and the rest just failed. And the reason given by Union Carbide was a disgruntled plant employee apparently bent on spoiling a batch of methyl isocyanate added water to a storage tank. In the words of B. Browning Jackson, Vice President of Union Carbide at that point in time.
Okay, now let's discuss about the lapses on the part of the government related to this issue. The Madhya Pradesh state government had not mandated any safety standards. The Union Carbide failed to implement its own safety rules. The Bhopal plant experienced 6 accidents between 1981 and 1984, at least 3 of which involved MIC or phosgene. Now let's look at some of the chemicals dumped by the Union Carbide in Bhopal. So here we can see a list of 22 chemicals. The thing is, all these chemicals were dumped by Union Carbide in Bhopal in various sources. They cause pollution in different other factors. Now let's talk about the gases like chemicals like phosgene, which is used as an ingredient in factory, but was extremely poisonous, and it resulted in pollution of the air. And there were other chemicals such as chloroform also, which damage the air, toluene, which damaged the air, water, and soil. So many chemicals like these were dumped by Union Carbide, which caused natural disasters and problems throughout the state of Bhopal. So now let's see why the people of Bhopal stayed quiet. The country needed pesticides to protect her agriculture production. MIC is used to produce pesticides that control insects, which would in turn help increase production of food as part of India's Green Revolution. Initially, India imported the MIC from United States. In an attempt to achieve industrial self-sufficiency, India invited Union Carbide to set up a plant in the state of Madhya Pradesh to produce methyl isocyanate. To the people of the city of Bhopal, Union Carbide was highly respected, technically advanced Western company. This coupled with political power and scientific expertise worked together to change the people's perception of what was dangerous and, more importantly, what was safe. Now these are various haphazard dumping of hazardous materials that was found by Union Carbide. Like these chemicals were not dumped properly or in a way that they should have been done. Now let's check about the Union Carbide's American plant. Dr. Paul Srivastava, an associate professor of business in New York University, conducted studies that revealed that Bhopal was neither an isolated incident nor the first of its kind in the corporation. There had been many incidents of the same nature in Union Carbide's American plant prior to Bhopal accident. He found out that 28 major MIC leaks had occurred in Union Carbide's West Virginia plant during 5 years preceding the Bhopal incident, the last one occurring only a month before. The water washing theory. So there were many theories that was established. So one of them was the water washing theory. The media played a significant role in establishing the water washing theory as a plausible explanation. According to the story, an MIC operator was told to wash a section of a subheader of the relief valve vent header in the MIC manufacturing unit. Because he failed to insert a slip blend as called for by plant standard operating procedures, The water supposedly backed up into the header and eventually found its way into the tank. But he failed to insert a slip line as called for by plant standard operating procedures, and the water supposedly backed up into the header and eventually found its way into the tank and flowed 400 feet to the tank, which would require a massive pressure head, and as indicated, my reports would take some time to build up. Conclusion reports indicated that 2,000 pounds of water entered the tank, and for this water to build up and have an instantaneous exothermic reaction would not be possible. Now let us look at some other theories.
Okay, so now we will look at the direct entry theory. During the shift change that a distinguished operator entered the storage area and hooked up one of the readily available rubber water hose to tank with the intention of contaminating and spoiling the tank's content. So what his intention was to rectify the problem according to his senses. He unscrewed the local pressure indicator, which can easily be accomplished by hand, and connected the hose to the tank. The entire operation could be completed within 5 minutes. Minor incidents of process sabotage by employees had occurred previously at the Bhopal plant. I guess because of the lack of the education or the skill of the employees, there were some minor incidents happening around. The water in the MIC reaction initiated the formation of carbon dioxide, which together with MIC vapors was carried through the header system out of the stack of the vent gas scrubber by 11:30 to 11:45 p.m. As we can see, in just 15 minutes, the whole process took place a huge turn. Now we are going to see the lapses on the part of the Union Carbide. Improper design of chimneys without consideration of weather conditions in all seasons. This is one of the this could be seen as the biggest reason of the tragedy. Improper design and maintenance of safety equipment. I can say that there was no such thing as safety over their equipment and all the infrastructure that they had. Not following the safety regulations as that followed by UCC plants in USA. As we have seen in the previous slides that there was no regulation according to their standards, not even of the government or their own. Decision to neglect a flare system in need of repair. They didn't have a system of flare for in case of a repair. Inadequate emergency planning and community awareness. Lack of awareness of the potential impact of MIC on the community by the people operating the plant. Inadequate community planning, allowing a large population to live near a hazardous manufacturing plant. We have to understand that whenever we are having a hazardous or something which is dangerous for a population, we shouldn't allow a lot of population to live nearby. Basic green chemistry principles. These principles would have averted the disaster. Eliminate or reduce the production of hazardous chemicals. Hazardous chemical produced should not be stored and should be consumed in the course of reaction. The inventory of hazardous chemicals, if inevitable, should be of many small containers and not of one large container. Now alternate chemistry. Suggested solution. Alpha-Rafsol on carbonyl group addition followed by reaction with methylamine would eventually give carbide. This process does not generate or require handling of phosgene, which is a very poisonous gas. This process does not require storage of MIC, inherently safe process.
And therefore, we come to our conclusion of our case study to study the safety of industries. What we learn is that the Bhopal gas tragedy could have been averted because there were lapses on part of the government and the UCC which could easily have been addressed. The actual reason for the tragedy, as we saw, is contrary to popular belief, and an alternate way to produce carbaryl was suggested and should have been implemented much earlier. This gave rise to the idea that the design of inherently safer processes was required, since there were 20,000 killed, 120,000 severely injured, and this was immediate statistics. And you thought weapons could cause mass destruction? This tragic event only serves as a reminder to us that safety is not just a word to exist in our dictionaries. Safety is an absolute must. It is something that we must pursue as a science for the betterment of human society as a whole, and that it is our role as engineers to help improve the lives of others, not end them. Thank you. This presentation was brought to you by Ben Biju Chandi, Ishan Mukesh Bhai Patel, Jyotirmay Barman, Ayush Sahu, and Sudhanshu Sekhar Swain. Here, we list our sources for the information that we have supplied in this presentation. Thank you.